Mike, how are you, bud?
What's happening?
Nothing much. Nice to hear you back on the air. And I wanted to touch base and ask you what you think about Justify in the Belmont. And I just had a quick point that I wanted to make before I get off, is that I think he's going to run well, and here's why. He didn't run as a 2-year-old, ran on the synthetic turf. I know that Big Sandy's kind of deep and tough to run on, and I just wanted to see your thoughts on, comparing him.
Well, he is undefeated, so, I mean, he's run very well. So there's no longer any question of his running as a 3-year-old. I mean, he's already accomplished a lot. So, again, how much of the race take out of him, we will not know until he turns for home. We have to wait a week to see the field, who's going to enter against them. We expect some of the Derby horses to come back. We expect there to be some new shooters. We expect there to be a field of 12 horses in the race. So I think there'll be some good competition. I expect there to be equal number of people who think he will and an equal number of people who think he will not win. So I think that makes it a lot of fun. Mike in Hazlitt. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Mike. How are you? Good afternoon.
What's up?
I'm excited about the Belmont, too, man. I can't wait to hear your picks as we get closer. But, look, man, I'm a diehard Met fan who has Yankee envy. And I think one of the exciting things about watching or listening to the Yankees is just how they've been able to build this team. And they've got so many stars, young stars, coming up through the ranks. And the trades that Cashman was able to turn in, a year ago, 2 years ago, has been absolutely fascinating. And it is everything that's wrong with the Mets, unfortunately, and the inability for the Wilpons to spend money. I mean, Mike, serious question. If Moustakas and Jake Arrieta were on this team, these were two players that were available towards the tail end of spring training, and they were really cost-effective. I think Arrieta signed for 3 years, $75, and I think Moustakas went back to KC for $6.5 million. I mean, to be fair, Moustakas was last minute. They signed Frazier, but, I mean, would the Mets be in a better position today if they had Arrieta and Moustakas on the team in lieu of Frazier and Vargas?
Well, they wouldn't be in a worse position, that's for sure. I mean, so obviously, because Frazier's gotten hurt and Vargas has been an utter disaster. So obviously, from that standpoint, they'd be in a better position. Now, would it be an overwhelming one? No, but would it be a better one? Yes. Mark and Brick, what's up, Mark?
Hey, Mike.
What's happening?
I know that when the Cubs traded for Chapman, obviously they won the World Series, so it looks like that was the good deal to make. But do you think, kind of two-part question, do you think Epstein had a feel for just how good Torres was going to be? And do you think, they win the World Series, so he does it again?
They had to make the move. They had to make it. Do I think Now, remember, there were a lot of people who wanted them to bring back a different player. You remember who a lot of people wanted, right? Who's the guy in the Cubs that everybody wanted?
Addison Russell?
Come on.
No.
Who's a left-handed hitter? The Yankees.
Oh, Schwarber. They were
right. Everybody wanted him.
Yeah.
Everybody, and they didn't want to give him up. Everybody wanted him, and everyone would have been thrilled if they brought him back. But did everyone know about this kid? Yes. Was he considered to be a can't miss? He was. I never heard anybody say anything except glowing positive things about this guy. So do I. I mean, you heard the comment that that Mariano Duncan said that he was the best minor league player he'd ever seen. I mean, that's an incredible statement. So, you're talking about a kid who obviously has a world of talent. Everybody raved about him. So it was it's something they had to do, and it wound up allowing them to do something that he was there to do. He would have done anything he could to get the Cubs win. And they needed every inch of everything for the Cubs to win. And it wasn't easy anyway, let's be honest. I mean, it could have easily gone the other way. I mean, it sure wasn't an easy ride, that's for sure. Bobby and Nyack, what's up, Bobby?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
What's happening?
Before I get to a Didi point, do you think the way Andahar goes after the pitches, does it remind you of like a Ruben Sierra or Sheffield?
I don't want to put him, I don't want to put him in that class of player yet. First of all, Sheffield,
just the way he takes a hack at it.
Listen, he's a swinger. He's a guy who is going to be aggressive. You know that. He's not going to get cheated. He's going to swing, and if that's your point, then obviously he's a guy who's not going to get down. Whether he is going to be that kind of, those two were big time players. I mean, they were.
You're getting a quick look at him, but
but those are big-time power hitters you're talking about there. I mean, those are major guys.
It reminds me of those guys, the way, the bat speed. But,
I mean, putting anybody, Sheffield, whether you like him or don't like him, he was a heck of a hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, he really, he could swing the bat with anybody. So, I mean, that's putting him on a very high level. Andrew in Franklin Square. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, Mike. Welcome back.
Thank you. What's up?
So, I have like a quick Met thing, and I want to ask you a quick Jet thing. As far as the Mets go, I mean, everyone talks about the Wilpons and their inability to spend money, but I mean, what is Sandy Alderson doing with this team? I mean, do you see any scenario where we get anything for DeGrom or we make some trades? I mean, what has Sandy been doing since he's been here? He's been awful. He can't even build a bullpen.
Well, I mean, the one thing that I notice now as everyone attacks Sandy, which they conveniently leave out, is they did go to the World Series.
Huh?
I mean, it seems to be forgotten in the middle of this that they did go to the playoffs twice and go to the World Series. I mean, it just seems to not come up in the conversation. They did go to the World Series. You know, they've been to the World Series more recently than the Yankees have. So from that standpoint, you know, you do have to take that into consideration here. They went to back-to-back playoffs, which for the Mets is a big deal. And they did go to the World Series, which for the Mets is a big deal. So this team has not become what they thought it was going to become. The one thing the Mets did, which they are going to have to revisit, and they are going to have to get off, is the Mets were building their team around their starting pitching. That was going to be what would carry the franchise, and it is not the proper way to build a team in this era of baseball, because you need young, athletic, cornerstone players to build around, and then you sprinkle your offense, your pitching in, and build a bullpen. To just build it around starting pitching with the number of starting pitchers who get hurt and with the fact that they just don't go deep enough into games, starting pitching is not what you build your team around anymore. It does not work. Ed Mohegan, what's up, Ed?
Hey, Mike. Nice to have you back.
What's happened? Thank you.
Listen, I've thrown this around to a bunch of people. Nobody thinks the Giants will do it. I think it's a terrific deal for the Yankees. Throw Chance and any number of guys, Chance Adams, Frazier, any number of guys at the Giants to get Bumgarner. Nobody thinks the Giants would want to get rid of him because they still got a chance to win. They've won with them. They could get young. Because if Severino gets hurt, that's it. The Yankees are I don't want to say they're done.
All right, when they call first, the first conversation, you have to hang up on them. Because the first thing they're going to do is ask for Torres.
Of course.
All right, that's the first conversation. So you hang up the first time. Now when they call back, now you start the negotiation, and you go from there. But the first time they are going to ask for Torres, because wouldn't you? So
of course I would. You know what?
And that's where you start. And that's what you're holding out for. So when the Yankees call you about Bumgarner, the first thing you say is, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll listen, but here's where it starts. And they say, no, that ends the conversation. And then you end the conversation if you're the Giants, and you make them wait for another day. And you hope they call back, because if they call back, then you start to think that maybe they've put him on the board. Now, if they make him untouchable, you say to them, fine, but there's a price you pay in terms of quality and volume by making him untouchable to us. See, he wasn't made untouchable to the Yankees a couple of years ago. The Yankees got him. So if another team now is going to try and trade the Yankees a chip that they could win with, they're going to want to make him be part of the deal. When he's not part of the deal, you then have to say, okay, we'll go with that. We'll allow that. But you now have to really compensate us in terms of value and in terms of volume, because of the fact that you've pulled off the chip that we want off the table. And they didn't pull the chip off the table when now he's more accomplished than he was then. Absolutely. He's a couple of years farther along. And, you have him playing already in the major leagues where he's more of a proven commodity. So that makes plenty of sense. But you've got to also compensate them since you've pulled the chip off the table, which makes Bumgarner a very expensive issue as far as the Yankees are concerned. It's going to cost them. If they're going to go after him, it's going to cost them. Back after this.